Hey guys, thanks for being here. I'm John Rittar from WatchSpec.com. Today I want to start our discussion on the Seiko Alpinist SARB017. The Alpinist line actually started way back in 1961, created for mountain climbers and sports enthusiasts. It has seen 6 design generations since its start and is actually Seiko's third oldest subline. Sadly, however, Seiko has discontinued this line as of February 2018. It's not too late for you to get your hands on this watch, but is this watch worth the inflated price tag it's seen since being discontinued? Watch this video to learn why this watch is my favorite watch in my collection, why it's worth that money, and why I think you should get yours today. Okay, in this review, we will break down this watch into the following categories. We will start with the style, we'll move to comfort, then talk movement and accuracy, followed by usability, and then we'll close with value and verdict. I do want to mention there is a written review to accompany this video that is available at WatchSpec.com. I will leave a link to that in the notes below. So with that, let's go ahead and get started with the review. We're going to dive into this watch, and for that, we're going to spin the camera around. Okay, let's jump right into the style category. Starting with diameter, we're looking at 38 millimeters here. We're looking at a 12 millimeter thickness of the watch there. It's actually a really nice size, and it fits nicely under my cuff. As you can see, it slides right under there. You're not going to get bunching. It's not a chunky watch that you're going to be knocking into your surroundings. I have a 7-inch wrist that's about 18 centimeters, and it's honestly a perfect fit on my wrist. Let me zoom it out a little bit so you can see that there. It just fits really nicely. It looks really nice on my wrist. Moving to the dial, you can see it's got that extremely unique green sunburst dial. The shade of green actually changes with different light conditions and different angles. Let me zoom in on this a little bit. So you could see, look at that rich green that you're getting there. Unbelievably rich. But you could see, I just tilted it a little more. It changed the look of the watch. Changing it back, changing again. So depending on different lighting conditions, different angles, you're going to get a different look. It always keeps the look interesting, something I really like about this watch. The next thing you'll notice is the applied gold features on here, gold polished numbers and triangle markers for the hours. So the hours have numbers applied at all the even hours, so 12, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and triangle marks at 1, 5, 7, 9, 11. So I skipped 3 there because you can see that is where the date window is located. The date window does have a gold accent surrounding it. The date window is a black background with white text. It fits really nicely with the look of this watch. But those applied emblems, applied features on here for the hours, as well as the Seiko emblem is applied, and I'll zoom in on that. You can see that these are all raised off, and you can easily see that they're catching the light, which is just dynamite. It catches your eye every time you look at this watch, and it just stands out. And when you catch the right light, it almost looks like these are glowing. It's just a fantastic touch, extremely classy. Printed on this dial in white, you can see a major marker at every 5-minute mark. We do have a major tick at every single minute mark, and then every minute or second is broken into 5 pieces itself. So there's a lot of precision for those who need that in their watch. Also above 6 o'clock here, you can see there is some text that says automatic, DiaShock 23 joules, 20 bar. That is kind of pushing the limit as to the amount of words printed on the dial for me, but honestly, I've never had any concern with this watch for some reason. And I believe it's because that automatic is in a different typeface and it's cursive. It actually adds to the look of the watch rather than taking away. So it's something that I don't mind at all, and I appreciate that on this dial. Next, let's talk about the hands. So the hands are cathedral style hands. You can see the hour hand has a large oval on it with a pointer off the end and some arcs in the middle that actually form a pointer. I'll speak to that a little more later. The minute hand is more rectangular in shape, but it also has a fine point on it. Very classy. My favorite is the second hand. You can see it has that teardrop shape with a very elongated needle sticking off of that runs all the way to those tick marks to give you that precision when reading the watch. These three hands together are just so elegant, in my opinion. It really classes this watch up. It allows you to wear this in a very dressy manner. It's just a really nice touch and something that I really love about this watch. You could also see that they are polished gold, something that also catches the light and gives it kind of that glow effect when the light catches it in the right manner. Really nice. Love the hands. Next is the glass. The glass applied is sapphire, which is a really quality touch. Sapphire is the second hardest crystal, just behind diamond. So it's very scratch resistant, very durable, and it honestly has a great purity and clarity and characteristic to it that just looks like a luxury glass. I love that it is a flat surface off the top and it's slightly raised off the bezel. As you can see here, slightly raised up. It just gives it a really nice characteristic to the look of the watch. Next, let's talk about the crown. So there's actually two crowns on here. We have the main crown here at 3 o'clock for the time and date. Then we have a secondary crown which controls the compass bezel. You can see these are larger crowns and they've got notches in them. If I zoom in on them, they have these notches for easy use, very easy to use. And that's typical of a field watch, actually, so you can easily use it in the field. You can see the main crown here has an S for Seiko. That's a nice touch. Secondary crown just has a dimple. But you could also see the case has crown guards for the main crown. Now, the fact that these are larger with these notches for the grip, and then you have the crown guards to protect this main crown, it increases the masculinity of this watch. So we talked a lot about elegance and dressiness of the dial and those features on the dial and the hands. Well, this is going to help balance that out, and this gives it that masculinity, as I said. It's just really a nice touch that helps this watch. Let's move on to the band. The band that comes on this watch is not this bracelet here. The band that comes with this watch is this brown crocodile strap. There's nothing really wrong with it, except for the fact that I thought it made the watch look very old-fashioned. It wasn't what I wanted for the watch, so you can see I still have the tags on this. I never intended to use this. I recommend you replace it, and I would recommend you replace it with a metal bracelet. I like it on this oyster style. That's typical of a Rolex Submariner, for example. I've also seen a lot of these watches with a Jubilee bracelet. Very popular. You'll find on the internet so many people replace that leather band with a metal bracelet. It's a very popular thing to do. Now, if you go ahead and do that, the lug width here is 20 millimeters, so you're looking for a 20 millimeter width band. There are no drilled holes here, so you have to access the spring bars from inside the lug. No problem for me. Next category is comfort. So we already talked about the size and the thickness of this watch. It easily slides under the cuff, as I mentioned previously. No issues there. Even with the metal bracelet on here, I don't have issues with this pulling on my hair or my skin. The weight of this watch is 2.8 ounces or 79 grams. That's equivalent to a stack of 14 US quarters if you wanted to gather some of those to check it out. Very comfortable weight. It's actually still on the lower side of the spectrum in terms of overall watch market of mechanical or automatic watches, but it does have a nice weight to it, especially with this bracelet on there. I should mention that weight was with the leather band on. It's going to be slightly higher with a metal bracelet. I love the weight that I get out of this watch. It's very comfortable. The only other thing I should mention is for the crowns, you can see these do stick out a little bit. So if you can see that when I bend my wrist, it does touch the skin a little bit. I've never even noticed or had any issue with this digging into my skin. Overall, very comfortable watch. Okay, let's move on to the next category, which is movement and accuracy. So inside this watch, we have Seiko's own 6R15 movement, which has been around since 2006. That's actually a very high quality movement, and Seiko puts it in some of their higher end lines, such as the Pro Specs or the Presage lines, which run up to $1,000 or so. It's a nice movement. But it includes the Diaflex unbreakable mainspring. It's got the Diashock isolation feature. It's got bidirectional winding, 23 joules. It includes the date complication. On paper, the accuracy that you'll see from this watch is plus 25 to minus 15 seconds per day. Mine is actually running at about 2.5 seconds per day slow, which is phenomenal. Maybe I just got lucky with mine, but I'm seeing very accurate movement from this watch. It also has 50-hour power reserve. That's handy if you're not going to be wearing this over the weekend, for example, and it's going to just be sitting on your shelf. It can get you through the weekend without losing too much time. Some of the greatest benefits to this movement is, number one, it's hackable. What that means is if I pull this out here, so it's got a screw down crown. If I pull this out, I pulled it out, you can see the second hand stops moving. It's hackable. Love that. Also, it's got manual wind. So if I push it in without screwing it down and just turn it, it's winding the watch, which is also helpful if you're not going to be wearing it for several days. You can manually wind it, or if you're putting it on in the morning, you want to make sure you've got a full wind, you go ahead and give it a manual wind. The date change on this, so why don't I go ahead and show that. The date change is actually pretty snappy. So it starts at about 10:30 p.m. So here we are about 10:30. You can see the 1 is starting to move right there. And it's going to snap over at exactly 12 o'clock. Boom. 12 o'clock. Snapped right over. Love that. I think that's better than a lot of mechanical or automatic watches in this price range. So that's nice. And finally, I want to mention that with this watch, regulation is possible. So if you are seeing accuracy that you're not comfortable with and you want it improved, you can take off the back plate. You can change the tension in the hairspring to speed it up or slow it down to get the accuracy you want. I actually have a step-by-step guide available and a video guide available to help you through that, and you can find that at watchspec.com. I will leave links to that in the notes below. Let's move on to usability. So usability of this watch is awesome, and I'll explain why. So I've already mentioned the gold-plated applied features on this watch. You can see that those catch the light and basically give a glowing effect. That really helps the legibility of this watch. At a quick glance, you can easily catch the numbers and catch the hands to know very quickly the time. Also, the hands, and you'll notice here, the pointer on each one of these hands extends all the way to the number or the markers that they are supposed to. So the hour hand is pointing at the base of the number, the minute hand is pointing inside the minute, and the second hand extends all the way into those tiny little tick marks. So there's no guesswork in reading the time. They point to exactly where you need to read. Love that. We have detailed markers, so you can see every minute is called out, every second is called out, and each minute and second is actually broken down further into 5 different pieces. So it's going to give you more than you actually need on this watch. So no complaints there. Also, for the hours, you can see every single hour is marked either by a number or a tick. That's helpful also for a quick glance. I already talked about the crown, so it's larger, it's notched, very easy to grab and rotate, no concerns there. Water resistance, it shows 20 bar right here on the bottom. That's 200 meter equivalent, so that is great for swimming or snorkeling. It's not meant for diving, guys. If you're going to be using a watch to go diving, get yourself a certified diver, such as the SKX line watch. The lume applied on this is Seiko's own Lumibrite. It has dots at the hour marks all the way around. It's also present in the hands for the hour, minute, and the second. I love the fact that the second hand has the lume on the pointer side and not the counterbalance side, which makes it actually usable when reading in the dark. Also, previously I mentioned these arcs inside the hour hand in the dark, so you can still see a pointer on the hour hand for accurate reading in the dark. That's a nice touch. Next is the compass feature. So the compass is driven by this secondary crown, as mentioned previously. It spins extremely easily. You can see it spins both directions. To set the compass, you need to use the sun. So what you do is you hold the dial of the watch parallel to the ground. You rotate this watch around until your hour hand is pointing directly at the sun. Then true south is actually the point halfway between your hour marker and 12 o'clock mark. So in this example, let's pretend the sun is over here pointing at the 10 o'clock. So the due south would be exactly at 11 o'clock, so halfway between (10 o'clock) and 12 o'clock. So that's due south, so I know north is actually pointing this direction towards me. And that's how you set the compass. So very easy to use. And then final part of usability is the band. There's nothing wrong with this band. I have this band on another watch and there's nothing wrong with it. I just don't like it for this watch. I recommend you just go ahead and replace it. Okay, let's close with our final category, value and verdict. The price of this watch, since being discontinued, has increased about $125. So the new price tag is about $475 US. To me, it's still worth that money. I can't imagine not having this watch in my collection. Granted, that's easy for me to say since I own it. Before I bought it, I had my reservations. I was worried that it was too small or that green color was too non-traditional. But let me tell you, I was so wrong about that, and this is my favorite watch in my collection right now. For all the reasons that I mentioned previously with the quality and the style, I love this watch, guys. It's a perfect marriage of elegance and masculinity. The elegance that you get from the dial with the polished gold applied features and the polished gold hands, the elegant cathedral hands. It's just gorgeous, but then it's balanced by the masculinity of the double crowns and putting it on this metal oyster bracelet, it gives it that masculinity. It's just a perfect balance that is so versatile, and you guys are gonna love this if you buy this watch. The Alpinist truly is one of a kind with that green sunburst dial. At this price point, you are not going to find another watch that has such a uniquely distinct, yet still very professional style that is then coupled with the quality and the craftsmanship that you get with this watch. It's extremely versatile, and that's why I love it. And furthermore, the value of this watch is going to continue to appreciate. The Alpinist line has always been a historic icon, and now that it's been discontinued, the SARB017 is part of that history and is going to be highly desired. So my final recommendation is yes, yes, yes. Get this watch for yourself. Highly recommended. You won't be sorry. If you want this watch for yourself or the oyster bracelet that I put it on, I will leave links in the notes below. These are affiliate links, which mean I do get a small commission at no cost to you if you do follow my link and make a purchase within 24 hours. Thank you to those who do follow my link. But I want to hear from you guys. Do you own this watch, or are you considering to buy this watch? Tell me what you love most about it. Or do you have questions? I want this to be a discussion, so leave comments below and I can respond. And with that, guys, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.